This Pecha Kucha presentation will provide a step-by-step guide on the correct deployment procedure for the Rapid Pro 2-line 7 decontamination tent. If these steps are followed correctly, the 2L7 is a simple tent to erect. Please read the safety precautions prior to deployment. These instructions are based on the use of a 2-person team. Utilising a 4-person lift, carry the tent to the deployment location, taking into consideration scene setup, ideally on a flat surface with no sharp objects present, taking into consideration wind direction. The ends of the ground sheet will be marked entrance and exit. On the cover of the tent are 2 red arrows. Make sure they're facing the entrance and the exit marked on the ground sheet. Once the outer cover of the tent has been removed, the tent will appear wrapped up within its own liner, secured by a yellow compression belt. Remove the belt and fold down the liner, exposing 2 more red arrows on the top of the tent. Again, these arrows should be facing the entrance and exit marked on the ground sheet. On each side of the tent are 2 red handles. The tent is symmetrical, so there isn't a right or a wrong way. At this point, make sure the yellow hoses are not impeding the expandable structure of the frame. The next section requires lifting. Though the tent is not heavy, correct moving and handling techniques should be adopted. Each person goes to the side of a shelter. 2 people working together grasping the 2 red handles at each side will lift the shelter and gradually step back from the center to expand the shelter as shown. Please be aware of potential snag points. If at any point tension is felt on the frame, stop and inspect what is causing the tension. Both people go to the ends of the shelter. Again, using proper lifting techniques, each person grabs the middle node. On the count of 3, both people will lift at the same time, initially to shoulder height. Be aware of door fabric, as you cannot have this on the frame because it will cause a potential snag point. Again, if any tension is felt, please stop. For the next step, it is essential that both people work in unison. With one hand, each person should move 1 node toward the center of the tent and push up as far as you can reach. Ideally, both people should be of equal height. By pushing up, the sides of the tent should move inwards. Each person moves 1 hand 1 node further away from the middle towards the base of the shelter. Crossing over again, both people continue to push up with 1 hand on the upper node as they reach for the pull handles on the side of the shelter. By pushing up with the upper hand and pulling in the sides with the lower hand, the frame can be placed into the correct position on the ground sheet. Each person moves to the closest corner and secures the ground sheet to the frame. This is done by securing the round eye trigger swivel to the hook. Once the corners of the ground sheet are secure, move to the inner ground sheet connections and again secure them with the round eye trigger swivel. After securing the ground sheet, secure the red locking straps on the side of the tent. Install the decontamination equipment such as the hoses, cleaning brushes and basin. Both people go to one end of the basin and push it up against the sides as close as possible. Make sure that the end is centered between the shower isolation curtains. Place the wall divider curtains and isolation curtains inside the basin. Place floor risers in the basin starting in the corner. Place floor risers close together to ensure that a solid base is formed, making sure that the long ends are parallel with the shelter. Configuration should be 3 rows of 1 long, then 3 short, and then 1 row of 1 long and 1 short. One of the floor risers has a hole specifically for the pump. Place the pump in the lowest portion of the basin. Ideally, the shelter will be placed on a slight slope. Prior to using the pump, remove the hose and prime the pump with 1.5 to 2 litres of water. Also, do not run the pump until the hoses are running. The pump will also need to sit on a perspex disc with a hole cut out, the pump sitting directly over the hole. Again, the waste pump should only be turned on after the showers are in continuous operation for several minutes. Operating the pump in a dry condition will cause damage and failure. As you can see, there are 2 yellow water pipes protruding from the side of the tent. Again, this is symmetrical and the pipes appear on both sides. To one side only, connect the yellow T-piece hose as shown. This will then connect to the mains water supply. Make sure all connections are secure by pushing the metal clasps into a locked position. The internal shower supply uses a closed circuit, so on the opposite side to which you've connected the T-piece hose, you will need to attach the blanking plugs. This will help prevent leaks. Again, make sure the blanks are secured by pushing the metal clasps into a lock position. Test for leaks prior to decontamination of a patient. Both the electrical and water supply are located in the silver cabinet outside the department to the right of the decontamination room. Connect the extension cable into the sockets on the side and turn the red switch clockwise for power. A warm water supply is located below, controlled by the isolation tap. To allow for privacy and dignity during multiple sex decontamination, a curtain can be attached that runs down the centre of the tent. The tent also has internal curtains which will allow the tent to be separated into 3 sections. These are useful for derobing, decontamination and re-robing. The tent is now ready for use for either wet or dry decontamination. If wet decontamination has been established, staff should wear the Powered Respirator Protective Suit, PRPS for short. Please see the PRPS section of the iBook for correct use of donning and operation procedures. After an incident and the all clear has been given, the tent can be dismantled. This is known as a strike procedure. Remove all equipment, curtains and unclip the hooks. Each person will grab the red handles at the side of the tent, lift slightly and walk backwards. The tent will collapse in on itself. Walk together to compact the shelter. Fold the liner over the frame, taking note of the location of the red arrows on the roof of the tent. Apply the compression belt and secure. Place the external cover around the tent, aligning both sets of arrows. Secure with the quick release straps and fold away the ground sheet.